everyone, and thanks for being with me. There is a term we refuse to use when considering our political environment, and the word is fascism. The question I've been asking lately is fascism likely to become a norm in our country? This is a warning that if we watch what is happening in the US, Europe, Brazil, and now Argentina, it is likely that fascism will creep into our own political lexicon. Politicians will see the influence that lurching further to the right will present opportunities to latch onto the discontent being harboured by voters who are simply and utterly tired of the high cost of living and the ineffectual efforts of politicians to put the brakes on. Voters will look for alternatives, even those which erode personal freedoms. The strong man who strives to dismantle the system which causes people all of their discontent will become more attractive. It will no longer matter the moral values held by those professing to change the system. It will be the change itself which is important. The destruction of the justice system will be viewed as a way to eradicate any opposition to change. Placing the justice system in the hands of the person with the singular moral authority to determine the difference between right and wrong will simply be viewed as a sacrifice worth making. Stamping our disagreement will become the hallmark of a good leader, because this will offer the belief that we are people in step with each other, a sense of unity. Jailing people at the whim of the leader will be a way of protecting us from the evil forces which would otherwise undermine our well-being. After all, our dear leader is the one who knows what we want and need. We no longer have to think about our needs because we have abdicated our desires to an entity which knows us simply much better than we do. This all seems very dark. Is it possible in Australia? Well, I believe it certainly is. Power is an attractive, euphoric enticement to implement strategies which would tap into the psyche of the populace. Looking for the undercurrent of discontent is the goal of most politicians, let's be honest. Finding such discontent and then building on it can breed the undercurrent of fascism. The recent referendum revealed the depth of racism in this country and the demonisation of those who were in favour of the referendum. Because of the conflict in Gaza, we are witnessing the degree that anti-Semitism and Islamophobia are present in our community. The rumblings of hatred for others is creeping to the surface and is there for the picking by those who wish to tap into the ripple of discontent. The problem is amplified by the rhetoric of the right-wing media such as Sky News, and I must hasten to add the lack of pushback from mainstream media. There is the fawning of the right-wing propagandists such as Donald Trump and the demonisation of the opposition. It is evident that this strategy is employed in relation to the Albanese government. For example, too many overseas trip when he hasn't travelled more than, I guess, any other Prime Minister in their first year in office, rebuilding relationships with China, not being tough enough on asylum seekers. Then there's headlines from Sky News such as, and I quote, Biden's birthday cake looks like hell is coming up to greet him. And Albo doesn't know what kind of leader he wants to be. And not what we'd expect. And this is not what we'd expect from the mainstream media. And I'm sure if the ABC led the headlines such as this, there would be an incredible cry of bias so loud that our TV screens would probably fracture. Slowly the headlines and the commentary will become more personal and divisive. Those seeking power will see the opportunity to build a foundation based on these rumblings and cash in as best as possible. We'll become conditioned to the rhetoric that its normality will sink into our daily discourse, and as a result, is likely to become mainstream. The likes of Andrew Bolt, Paul Murray and others will become the voice of divisiveness and feed into this fascist narrative. Positioning for relevance will have no bounds. An open slather approach would change the media landscape permanently. Now, Media Week reports that the Sky News viewership is rising. The average Sky News viewer across all content offerings is aged 45 years old. Sky News is reaching 11.1 million Australians. It is at our peril that we underestimate the influence of Sky News and social media more generally. My warning is that the worldwide trend towards fascism and the unabated support for right-wing media will lead us to a place from which it will become difficult to return. We have to push back. We can't be asleep at the wheel. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Remember to subscribe to my channel, subscribe and let me know what you think. I'd be happy to have a conversation with you about any of the things that I've discussed. Do you believe that it is possible that fascism in Australia will likely take hold? I've put some warnings out there. Just let me know what you think. In the meantime, take care, look after yourselves and be safe.